What's up, my peeps? So, Money in the Bank is coming up, and since it's one of my favorite matches of the year, I thought I'd go ahead and make a video about it, and I thought it'd be interesting and the perfect timing to go over who the worst Money in the Bank winner was. And with these videos, I like to turn them into a discussion, so in the comments section, I encourage you guys to go ahead and let us know who you think is the worst Money in the Bank winner yet. So, when I got to thinking about this, I went through, all the previous Money in the Bank winners, what they did with the briefcase, and, how they won the match and all of that. And I narrowed it down to 3 guys. Damien Sandow, Mr. Kennedy, and John Cena. I know right off the bat, by default, there's going to be a lot of people going ahead and saying that Mr. Kennedy was the worst for the simple fact that he was the only Money in the Bank winner that never got to cash it in. He got beat by Edge when he put the briefcase on the line, and Edge ended up cashing it in. But the thing is, that was due to an injury. Now, kayfabe-wise, yes, Mr. Kennedy's the worst because he never got to cash it in. He's the only one to never even get the match. But, like I said, it was due to an injury. And at that time, when Mr. Money in the Bank, or not Mr. Money in the Bank, Mr. Kennedy won the briefcase, he was the right guy. He was getting pushed. It was obvious they were behind Mr. Kennedy. People were entertained by Mr. Kennedy. And he was putting on good promos, he was getting matched up with top stars like The Undertaker, Kane, Batista, and he actually beat some of them. And then he went ahead and announced that he was going to be the first guy to cash it in at WrestleMania. But the plan was for Mr. Kennedy to actually cash it in on SmackDown after a steel cage match between The Undertaker and Batista due to The Undertaker being injured. Now, Mr. Kennedy himself got injured, and so that caused the plans to change because they wanted to get the belt off of The Undertaker. So they went ahead, went with plan B, I guess, and gave it to Edge, who became the first 2-time Money in the Bank cashing in, or first person to cash in Money in the Bank twice. But I'm actually going to go ahead and say that Mr. Kennedy was not the worst Mr. Money in the Bank, and here's why. So first off, the Money in the Bank ladder match in which he won the briefcase in the first place. Was it a really predictable match? Was it bad or anything like that? No. It actually wasn't one of the more predictable matches. There were a few other guys in that match that could have won it. For instance, a bunch of people thought Randy would win that briefcase. Also, the match itself was a good match. And when I think about his stint with the briefcase, was I entertained? Was I looking forward to him cashing it in? Yes. And he had announced that he was going to cash it in at WrestleMania. And so if you were to actually do that, then he was going to be the first guy to cash it in at Mania. But also with Mr. Kennedy being a heel, a lot of people were wondering if he was just, tricking people into thinking that he was going to cash it in at WrestleMania when he was actually going to cash it in sooner. And apparently he was, whether it was, him trying to trick people kayfabe-wise, or him changing, his idea when he saw an opportunity. Obviously he was going to cash it in at WrestleMania because in interviews he went ahead and said that they told him, hey, you're winning the title on SmackDown against The Undertaker after that steel cage match against Batista. So, also, there were plans for him. This Money in the Bank win for Mr. Kennedy was for a reason, when I can't really say that for some of the other Money in the Bank wins, and I'll get to that in just a few moments. And even with Kennedy being out, being injured, this Money in the Bank win did not go to waste, because it did go to Edge, who went ahead and cashed it in for a second time, and moved to SmackDown from Raw, because he had been on Raw for years. And also, it was the first Money in the Bank, reign in which the briefcase actually changed hands when it was put on the line. So, moving on, that leaves us with John Cena and Damien Sandow, the only 2 guys that did cash it in but didn't actually win the title through doing so. So let's start it off with Sandow. He won the 2013 Money in the Bank ladder match against Cody Rhodes, Barrett, Dean Ambrose, Swagger, Fandango, and Cesaro. I know, nobody thought Fandango was going to win it, and the same could be said for Sandow. So the win was really unpredictable, which is always nice. And as far as the match goes, it wasn't one of the best Money in the Bank ladder matches, but it wasn't bad either. Actually, it's hard to have a bad Money in the Bank ladder match. You'd have to have all the superstars tearing their quads during the match. So, he held on to the briefcase for 106 days. His main feud was against Cody Rhodes, who just made a fool out of Sandow the entire time. He stole his briefcase, threw it around, and also, on top of that, whenever they'd face off, Cody would always win. And during those 106 days, Damien Sandow only scored 2 wins if you just count Raw, SmackDown, and pay-per-views. One against The Miz on Raw, and one against Kofi Kingston on the Hell in a Cell kickoff, which was the night before he cashed it in. And so, speaking of the night he cashed it in on a returning John Cena, returning from elbow surgery. And the night before, Cena was facing off against Del Rio, who was working on the elbow. And then before the cash-in, Damien Sandow assaulted John Cena's elbow with the briefcase, a steel chair, the steel post, the barricade, and then proceeded to have like a 15-minute match against John Cena, in which John Cena overcame the odds and beat Damien Sandow, so it was a failed cash-in. Now, moving on to John Cena, who won the 2012 Money in the Bank ladder match. It was the first All-Star Money in the Bank ladder match against guys who were all former world champions: Y2J, The Miz, Kane, and Big Show. As far as the unpredictability, there was none, because everybody knew John Cena was winning it, because everybody knew it was going to be Cena versus The Rock, the rematch at Mania, except for the title this time. So, the night after winning it, he goes ahead and tells CM Punk, "I'm cashing it in next week on Raw 1000, and so Raw 1000 comes along, it's Punk versus Cena in the main event, and the Big Show gets involved and attacks Cena, causing a disqualification. And so for the first time, we witnessed the Money in the Bank winner cashing it in, but not actually winning the title. So now that I've given you guys all the details, it's time for me to reveal who I think is the worst Mr. Money in the Bank. So is it going to be John Cena, or is it going to be Damien Sandow? And the answer is Damien Sandow, and here's why. So despite Cena not needing the briefcase in the first place, despite his Money in the Bank win being the most predictable one, and despite his cash-in ending in the shittiest way possible, a disqualification, his Money in the Bank cash-in, or the outcome of that cash-in, was the most unpredictable one yet, because for 7 years, we were used to whoever cashed it in becoming the new champion. So this, for John Cena out of all people to cash it in and lose, or actually cash it in and not win the championship, that was a shocker. It also goes down in history as the first time Money in the Bank was unsuccessfully cashed in. It led to Punk's heel turn, but on the other hand, Damien Sandow's Mr. Money in the Bank, I think that's the only time where winning the briefcase probably hurt the guy more than anything, because after he won it, he was made out to be a joke, losing match after match, getting squashed by the Big Show on main events, and when it came time to cash in, looking weaker than ever, by assaulting John Cena prior to the match with the briefcase, a steel chair, everything else, and still managing to lose. And it's not like he moved up to the main event afterwards, he stayed in the low card to mid card. And now, he's not even on the card. So Sandow is my pick for the worst. If you guys enjoyed this video, if you want to see who I think is the best, click that like button, subscribe for more, and with that said, I'm out. See ya.